Welcome to Lock It Down Sports. I'm your host, Locke Hoover. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. You can also check us out at E5280 Sports. That's E5280 Sports. And today on the show, what the Atlanta Braves' next move is, how this coach would never let that happen, the MLB playoffs, and this is where I want to start with today. A complete disappointment last week in Knoxville. I should say in Fayetteville, as Tennessee just laid an egg. Complete laid an egg. It's unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And here's where we're going to break it down. As you saw, Arkansas wanted to play ball control. And that's exactly what they did. They slow played it. And they worked the clock. And in the first quarter, Arkansas led 3-0. And it was 21 plays for Arkansas, just 7 plays for Tennessee. I think some of that has to do with Tennessee not being able to run the ball in the first quarter. Secondly, they couldn't get anything going. They couldn't connect on any short, easy passes, and it was punts. So that's part of the reason this happened. And also, to me, I think this is the first drive, the first time this year in a long time. I'm sure it's happened before, but with this Heupel offense, that Tennessee didn't score offensively in the first quarter. Nothing. Not even a field goal, nothing. And that surprised me a little bit. It's like, okay, which that's another thing. I don't understand what the issue was there as well. You're coming off a bye week. You had 2 weeks to prepare for Arkansas. 2 weeks. Okay, sluggish start. Sure, whatever. Okay, all right. You can get through this. You can get over this. That's okay. So we move to the second quarter, and Arkansas is able to do whatever they want offensively. They were able to move the ball down the field. Tennessee cannot stop them defensively on third down. They can't hold them. It doesn't matter. Arkansas is getting that third and long, third and short, third and whatever. It's going to be a first down. But once it gets to the 20s, Tennessee's defense stepped up. As with 6:44 left in the second, Tennessee's able to hold Arkansas on a 4th and 1, which would have been an easy field goal to put them up 6-0. And it's like, all right, well, I know Tennessee's defense has been on the field the entire time because our offense can't get any rhythm, can't get any flow, can't get anything going. So once again, the defense, who would have thought that? The defense is helping out the offense and Josh Heupel. So once again, after a quick 3-and-out and a punt, Arkansas's got the ball back for a second time. This Tennessee defense held Arkansas after a long drive with another field goal opportunity. Not a chip shot, but a decently made field goal opportunity on their drive there. Once again, the bend and don't break defense in that game last Saturday in Fayetteville for Tennessee. They couldn't stop them. They could drive all the way down the field, but in the clutch, they made the big plays. So, back again on offense. Once again, Tennessee is struggling. And the big issue with this is they haven't been able to run the football. As it's been affected offensively they've been effective offensively because Arkansas has been able to have two safeties back. They haven't been able to bring a safety up or had to creep a safety up in order to try to get Sampson in the backfield. That Tennessee wasn't creating any plays. Offensively, the offensive line couldn't get a push. That's a problem. As much as Heupel likes to spread you out, he does. That's our breakout in the rushing game. As this has to be maybe the worst. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me there, the old fake out sneeze, not sneeze thing. I hate when that happens. But absolute worst offense have play underneath Josh Heupel and this Tennessee team, as they only had 76 total yards at halftime and only 15 on the ground. This offense has to run the football. Has to. You spread them out wide, it makes them cover their full field, but if you can't get that push up front and run the football, you can't go vertical. You can't stretch the plays. You can't stretch the offense like Heupel wants to do. Terrible, terrible play. Absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable first half. But you're still in this football game because your defense is able to bend but not break and make some big fourth down plays. So you're like, okay, bad half. Let's get it to going, get it under control, get it going. Heupel choose offense out, get them under control, get them straightened out, right? And that's what you saw in the third quarter. The offense needed to get in rhythm, and I liked what they did to start that third quarter with Nico getting some easy passes to start the drive. Some short behind the line passes, passes to the halfback, easy short completions. And that's what got him going. And that on UT's first drive. In the third, Nico was able to be protected. They got in rhythm, got the ground game going, and boom, you got your 2 touchdowns just like that. And you're leading this football game 14-9. And no, excuse me, 14-3 at this point. Sorry. But you roll into the fourth quarter, and Arkansas has got to play their backup quarterback because their starter got injured. And this is where it becomes unacceptable, unexcusable play, as the defense cannot stop Arkansas with the backup quarterback in. It's head scratching. I don't know how this is possible from a defensive standpoint. Yes, I know you've been on the field a while, a lot of the game, a lot of the first half. Your offense hasn't helped you out a lot, but they gave you the lead, and you're in this fourth quarter. Arkansas drives, and it's back and forth. Arkansas can still do whatever they want. They know they're running the football with their halfback up the gut, and Tennessee can't stop them. And they even let them score with 1:17 left in the game. And I think, based on you saw the play, you let Tennessee let Arkansas score. And at that point, I'm okay with it because you got 1:17 left. You got 2 timeouts. All you have to do is go score a touchdown. That's all you have to do. I know it's been a struggle all game. You had those 2 in the third when you got rhythm and you got a flow. But you got there, you scored, right? So it's like, all right, cool. You have 2 timeouts to work your way down. There's some timeout question marks that should have been used. You could use your timeouts earlier, but you're in touchdown range at about the 15-yard line. 6 seconds left, 10 seconds left. And I know he's only a freshman, redshirt freshman, I understand. But you cannot run out of bounds. What are you doing running out of bounds to end the game? Throw the ball up there. If it's an interception, you know what? Who cares? Give your big receivers a chance to make a play. Throw it up. A fade route, end zone, something. Yes, you had to scramble, but throw the football. Running out of bounds does absolutely nothing for you. Yes, it was a heave, but it was a manageable throw. It's not like you're heaving from the 50-yard line. You're from the 20, 15-yard line. You don't have a ton of plays to make in your playbook, but you've got some, and running out of bounds isn't going to do it. That isn't going to make an issue. That isn't going to help you win a football game, especially with no time on the clock left, no timeouts. What are you doing? Yes, you're a redshirt freshman, but you should know better. You should absolutely know better. Yeah. Then the overall thing for Tennessee as a whole, terrible play all the way around. You get 2 weeks. 2 weeks to prepare for Arkansas. And that's not even their toughest game on the schedule. It was a week ago against Oklahoma, and then you got Georgia and Alabama coming up, and you got Florida. Yes, Florida's at home, but you suck against Florida. I don't understand why you suck against Florida regardless. That's not going to be an easy game this week on Saturday, even though it is in Knoxville. Heck, I hope you put up 100 points against Florida. But based on what I've seen and it doesn't matter who's in those Florida jerseys. It's like you wet your pants. You can't play against Florida. So that's not an easy game, regardless, against Florida. So you have them. You don't have 2 weeks to prepare for Florida. You don't have 2 weeks to prepare for Alabama. You don't have 2 weeks to prepare for Georgia. You have 2 weeks to prepare against Arkansas. And you wet the bed. Your defense cannot stop a backup quarterback in the third or fourth quarter. Your offense couldn't get anything going. You had 2 weeks. What happened in those 2 weeks? Was it the players looking over Arkansas? Because you for sure know Josh Heupel and the offense and the coaching staff was not looking over Arkansas. They knew. They know. Maybe the players, it's Arkansas. Whatever, it's on the road. We've been rolling. We're good. We're fine. We took the pedal off the gas against Oklahoma. We can just turn it on, turn that switch whenever we want. We're good. We got this thing humming. We're already pitching ourselves. We've already wrote our name down in the 12-team playoff. Is that how you're rolling? That's what it looked like. Sampson even said we were lackadaisical last week in practice. I don't know if he's just saying that or what, but that's got to piss you off. You're not good enough to be lackadaisical. You're absolutely not good enough. As a team, you might feel that way. Absolutely not. You are not good enough. You're not in the national championship hunt. You're in the hunt to get into the playoff, to get into the dance. You're not a playoff contending, you're not a national championship contending team. Not at all. Your potential playoff team, which was gifted this year and going forward because it's 12 teams. For those 4 teams, you can kiss it goodbye. absolutely kissing goodbye. And why am I pissed? Because it's a different feel. You're 4-1 going into Florida, and I just told you what I thought about this Florida team. It's a different feel because you lost to Arkansas and how you lost to Arkansas. If you lost to Oklahoma, but then beat Arkansas, you'd be okay. It would sting, but not like this at all. Not like this at all. You still got Florida coming up this week. Oh, yeah, you've got Georgia and you got Alabama coming up as well. Now you absolutely have to beat Georgia or Alabama to even sit the playoffs. If you lose both those games, you're done. 3-loss team, I don't see is getting in. Maybe by their chinny chin chin, they get in on a hope and a prayer, maybe. You lose to Georgia, you lose to Alabama, you're done. See ya. Time to go to the Citrus Bowl. As Spurrier says, you can't spell UT without citrus, right? That's where we're at. Or maybe you go to the I don't know, the Independence Bowl. That's still right? And that's still a SEC bowl, right? Come on. You play. This week is going to show where they're at as a team, as a coaching staff of the fun and games is over, guys. It's go time. It's time to play. Enough of this BS that we just saw against Arkansas. And maybe he's taking some of the kid gloves off of Nico now. And maybe that was some of it. Yes, freshman quarterback, I know. Still working through things. But maybe the kid gloves come off now. And hopefully that is the case. And we're going to see this Florida game, where this offense is now. What they're doing, and if they're actually going to bring it. Because Florida doesn't get any easier. After Florida didn't get any easier, you got Florida, you got Alabama next. You're in the meat of your schedule, meat of your SEC schedule, and it's time. And there was absolutely no excuse for this game. No excuses. 2 weeks to prepare. Your offense didn't show up. Your defense in the third and fourth quarter with a backup quarterback folded. All around bad game. All around, that's all there is to it. There's no excuses. There's no, well, this, that. No. Nothing. Absolutely nothing positive about this game. And you got Florida next week, and you better bring it You better bring it against Florida on Saturday. That's it. Something else I didn't expect the Atlanta Braves to be bringing was they're going to be bringing in new hitting coaches. And that surprised me as they let go Kevin Seitzer and assistant coach Bobby Magellanes. They also let go Sal Fasano, which, hitting woes, he's catching coordinator, defensive, offensive guy, whatever his title actually was. But Braves are going to be in the search for some new hitting coaches. This one kind of caught me off guard. Because the Braves don't make rash decisions, especially in the front office. It's smart, it's calculated, and it's here's what we're doing. And he'd been with the Braves organization for 10 years. So it's not like a year 1, year 2 thing with Kevin Seitzer and Brian Snitker and Alex Anthopoulos. So he's out. And this makes me wonder 2 things. Do they want to now potentially change their offensive approach and strategy? Or is it just a new voice? Because Chipper's come out and said in his interview earlier this year, and I mentioned it on this podcast, you can go back a few episodes and listen to my thoughts and kind of what Chipper Jones said in the interview. that he was on. But Chipper said that Alex on top of this likes on base percentage and slug. That's what he's looking for out of his offensive guys. So a little bit that's kind of his philosophy he's looking for, and Slides is kind of adjusted to that. I don't think he was his core principles of what he brought to the table as slugging on OPS. Now, of course, the first question everybody mentions and swirls on is Chipper going to become the full-time hitting coach? I don't think so, no. I don't think he wants to. He's retired. He's got kids at home. He don't want to. He don't want to grind either, which I get. I completely understand that. Maybe he was like he was a few years ago, part-time, home-only, hitting advisor, hitting role, hitting consultant, whatever. I think it was consultant was his term they had, hitting consultant, I think. Maybe he does that, but he said in the interview he has kind of a little different philosophy than Anthopoulos does when it comes to hitting and what he's looking for and what he wants to do from an offensive approach. But anytime you have any feedback from Chipper, I think the players are going to take it in and listen. And it's also been said, and Chipper's come out and said when he was a hitting consultant, hitting role, whatever his actual title was, hitting guru, for the home-only games. Chipper's come out and said with these players, look, I can make you whatever hitter you want to be, or I can help you be whatever hitter you want to be. Do you want to hit 230 and hit 30 homers? I can help you do, and pull the ball. I can help you do that. Do you want to hit line to line? Hit 270 and maybe hit 20 homers? Be a more complete hitter? I can help you do that too. You tell me as the hitter what you want to do, what you want to be, and I can help you do that. He's come out and said that, but I don't see him wanting to be the full-time head coach, hitting coach at all. Now, with this, Kevin Seitzer's come out and said in an interview, he just thinks the team wasn't hearing him between the years at this point. He'd been there 10 years, a lot of the same guys. Because every hitting coach is saying the exact same thing mechanically. They're saying the exact same thing mechanically. He knows hitting. He didn't just happen to be here, And you saw the last 2 years. Show what happened last year in the postseason after a historic offensive year in the regular season. Yes, the 5-day layoff. I understand all that. We've been there. We've gone through all that. I understand. Then this year, all year, struggles. Yes, did injuries play a part? Of course they did. But Olsen had a downer. He struggled. Sean Murphy was basically a throwaway year. What a disastrous year. I don't know how that happened. Riley was struggling a little bit. He was starting to get going. Then he got hurt. Ozzie, so-so year. Arcia, complete trash of a year. Absolutely disgusting year from the offensive standpoint. And, Slatzer was saying the exact same things mechanically for the adjustments. It was just sometimes you need a new voice. You need a different way of saying the exact same thing. And that might be where the Braves want to go if they don't change their offensive philosophy. Change offensive philosophy, maybe that's part of it. But They're not. It's a different voice, a different message, saying the exact same thing. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know where they're going with the coaching staff when it comes to the hitting coach and the assistant hitting coach. Heck, you can't even predict players when it comes to Alex Anthopoulos. No way in the world you're going to be able to predict a hitting coach for this staff and Alex Anthopoulos and what Brian Snitker wants. So who knows? I'm not going to sit here and pretend, oh yeah, here's the guy they're going with. Here's the guy they should get, because it's always a mystery with Alex Anthopoulos and this staff. And I do like that. And I do appreciate with the guys. Now, something that also caught me off guard last week was the Alabama Vandy game. Holy smokes. I did not have that as, let me watch the last 5 minutes of Alabama Vandy to see what happens last week. No way in the world. You probably didn't either. So, interesting note, Vandy had more total yards than Alabama and had more time of possession and a large margin, as Vanderbilt had 42 minutes and 8 seconds to Alabama's 17 minutes and 52 seconds. Now, I know time of possession doesn't tell the whole story, because, it's a close game. You have big plays, explosive plays. You're going to have less time of possession than obviously the other team. Short field, you score, that sort of thing. Sure. I know time of possession isn't the end all be all, but that is an interesting little nugget there. But like I said, Vandy did have more overall total yards as well. So to me, I think the biggest thing about this Alabama Vandy game is there's no way in the world I think Nick Saban would allow this loss to happen. No chance. Absolutely no chance, in my opinion, would Nick Saban have allowed this loss at Vanderbilt. Granted, it's in Nashville, Vanderbilt, but it's basically a home game for Alabama and anybody who comes into Vanderbilt. And that's exactly what Nick Saban has. He said this. He's like, yeah, this is always the easiest away game, because half the stadium was your fans in Vanderbilt. And it was funny, even enough after Vanderbilt won, they played that on the big board as they were trolling Alabama and Nick Saban, which is funny. You got to give Vanderbilt credit. They played that clip of Nick Saban saying that. So well done for Vanderbilt there. But they mentioned during the game, Bama only lost to one unranked team during that time period with Nick Saban, and it was against Texas A&M. But let's look at this. They were coming off a butt kicking to and beating Ole Miss 42-21 in a win against Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. That's just completely different. Of a back and forth slug meet against Georgia, where you jump off big in that first half and then you have to hang on the second half to beat Georgia. But it's still a punch for punch, back and forth type of game. Completely different circumstances, in my opinion. And the board, he knows what it's like to be in Alabama now. He knows what it's like to coach and work at Alabama, of the pressure, the feel, and the level of scrutiny and pressure and expectations he has. It's different. It's different coming from Washington to Alabama. It just is. It just means more. See what I did there? And it's a completely different animal, and he's going to understand it. He's going to see it, as Alabama still got games. They're not done. They've still got LSU. You laugh. They've still got Auburn. It was like even last year. I know you're laughing, but Auburn, Alabama, last year's game, Auburn had no business being in that football game last year. Should have won that game. They should have beat Alabama last year. If they win, they prevent them from going to the playoffs. Alabama, Auburn just let that game slip. So that's going to be a tough game. It's a rivalry game, the Iron Bowl. Yeah, and you've already lost to Vanderbilt. So you got the games coming up, big games, and you're going to feel what it's like to work at Alabama. Now, wow, is my next point to Texas A&M. Holy smokes. Spanked Missouri. It wasn't even a ball game. I was watching some, I was like, oh, this game's over. This game's a wrap. It's done. And that's a big win for Texas A&M. And they're right here in this playoff hunt, this conversation. You almost dismissed them a little bit after losing to Notre Dame based on their upcoming schedule. You knew Missouri, tough game obviously before the season, and out of the Notre Dame game. So it's like, all right, that'll be a tough one. Took care of business, and they're in a playoff conversation and playoff spot right now. But yes, they've got big games coming up. Obviously, still got LSU. They got Auburn, who hung tough with Oklahoma, South Carolina, Mississippi State as well, and then obviously Texas, the rivalry game. Who, boy, Texas has looked tough. They look really good. But A&M right now, they're in this. After I kind of dismissed them a little bit after Notre Dame, I think others did as well. But all of a sudden, it's like, guys, we're here. We're still in this. We've got a puncher's chance, and that's where they're at. And A&M's gotten better. They absolutely have gotten better. So they've got Mississippi State this week, I believe, and then they got LSU coming up after that. So in 2 weeks, they got LSU. Granted, it's at home, but still, you've got LSU coming to Kyle Field, and of course, you got Texas for rivalry week and last game of the season. So big games, but they're right in this hunt. They take care of business and put them in a conversation. If they got 2 losses, their 2 losses are Texas and Notre Dame. For my sake, I hope they lose to LSU. Helps Tennessee potentially get in the playoff. But that's where A&M's at, and they're right there now. It's been fun watching the MLB playoffs. I've had zero expectation for the Braves with them getting in. They got in, and obviously, they lost. It's just, you know what? They got in, thank goodness. And the Mets, how about the Mets beating the Phillies? Never in a million years did I think I'd be pulling for the Mets. But how Philly's been these last few years? How about the Mets, huh? And I'm curious to see. It's been quiet so far about the Phillies and the players saying they took offense to Brian Snitker saying, we're going for we want the division. Last year we wanted the division, and it's a big deal that you win the division and we lose to a wild card team. It kind of sucks. We had 5 days off. It affected us, but we're playing through it. Philly got upset by that. Some of the players did. And lo and behold, they lost to a wild card team, the Mets, interdivision squad, and they're going home. So that's kind of a sweet. Got some game 5s coming up. Got the Guardians and Tigers. Interesting series. Tigers making the playoffs down so far back in August. They trade Jack Flaherty, who's with the Dodgers. All they've really got is Scooble. They got Scooble and bullpen games. That's what they've got. And they've taken to a game 5. They're scrappy. You got the guards, Cleveland Guardians, who home game, Jose Ramirez, and that's where they're at. I'm with the guards. I'm pulling for the guards. They're gonna have the winner. They're gonna have the Yankees. Winner that series has the Yankees, and I want the Guardians. I don't want to see Scooble and then 5 bullpen games, or 3 bullpen games for if it's I mean, come on. You're a freaking playoff team and you can't put out quality starters. You got Scooble and the bunch. That's it. I mean, come on. Yankees took care of business against Kansas City. So they're moving on, and Yankees are in prime position to get to the World Series. They really are. With Carlos Rendon and Garrett Cole, you feel good about those two. And then just kind of figure it out. Do you want Cortez? Do you want Lucas Gill? Where do you go for your other starters? So they're in prime position. They couldn't have asked for a better layout with the Astros no longer in the postseason. Yeah, you got the Central, and they played well against the Central. So that's where they're sitting at. So you have the Mets waiting to travel to LA or to San Diego. Both those teams have better records than the Mets. We got Game 5, Padres, Dodgers, and it is hard to fathom. With the payroll that the Dodgers have, they have to go for a bullpen game for an elimination game. Unreal. That's absolutely unreal. That the money they've spent, that the depth they always try to acquire, you don't have 4 starters. It's pretty much mind-blowing to me. So you got Padres, Dodgers, a Game 5. Hopefully this will get aired before the game's over and ends. We'll see. But that's I like either one of those teams over the Mets. I do. Whether it's the Padres or the Dodgers against the Mets, I like either one of those teams to get to the World Series. Pulling for Padres, fingers crossed. But that's I think now the Yankees got over the toughest test of beating Kansas City. And why I say that is Kansas City, though they didn't win the division, they've got better starting pitching than both as a collective group. With Waka, with Seth Lugo, as opposed to both the Guardians, who don't have any starting pitching, have a dynamite bullpen, and the Tigers, who Scooble and Bunch, right? That's where they're at. Prime position for the Yankees to get to the World Series. Hopefully they don't. But that's where they're at. And you've got a Game 5 coming up. So it should be a good one. Game 5s are always fun. Elimination games are always fun. No holds bar. We'll see what happens. So looking forward to it. Another week of college football coming up. And the next week and the next week. Because it's nothing but good games. You say there's a down week in college football. There's not a down week. You think there's no good games? There's good games. I mean, and this slate this week is another banger, if you ask me. LSU, Ole Miss, Oregon, Ohio State, in my opinion, Tennessee, Florida. Another spectacular week of college football. Enjoy it. We get very few of these weeks. We get 12 weeks of the regular season. We're almost halfway through. Enjoy it. It'll go by fast, and it goes by in a blink of an eye. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media. on Twitter. I'm Locke Hoover. You've been listening to Lock It Down Sports. I'll talk to you next week.